Hey, how we doing, everyone? Welcome to Yoga for Men with Dave Rennie. It's really nice to be here for Men's Health Week, a really important week where we're concentrating on men's health in general. And there's been so much fantastic content that has been on the Royal Voluntary Surface Virtual Village Hall. I've really enjoyed some of the stuff, some of the conversations that have been had. So if you're a man out there, then I hope you've also been tuning in and just been listening into some of the stuff that's been discussed and some of the fantastic activities. And, it's relevant to women as well. Of course it is, because, men and women are somewhat intertwined in life, aren't they? So, if men's health, men's mental and physical health is good, then, that responds massively to whatever relationship you're in. And it doesn't obviously mean that you're in a relationship, all men's relationships are with women, obviously. But, it's very relevant to society in general, isn't it? So hopefully you've been enjoying that. And yoga is a really beautiful way to kind of thread that, that train of thought, I guess, and to look at mental health and yoga. So I'm going to speak a little bit at the start here, maybe for a little bit longer than I normally would. And then my plan is to probably not do like a full yoga class, but to look at some specific things that you'd find in a yoga class. So we'll look at some meditation techniques, we'll look at some breath work techniques. We will look at some things like sun salutations, which form a really big part of a physical yoga practice. And then maybe have a look at something a little bit more restorative towards the end. But let's see how we get on, and let's see how all of that kind of like builds into this class. What I wanted to talk about at the start is a little bit about my journey and how I got into yoga, because I think it's quite relevant. I'm a pretty standard middle-aged man who got into yoga in his mid-40s, 2016. And I got into yoga because I was having some talking therapy, looking at some quite deep trauma in my childhood that I was only really able to face when I was in my mid-40s. So I lived with that trauma from when I was a teenager. And I guess my story is pretty typical, but I worked very hard. I was successful. I worked in IT sales. I had all of the trappings of what you would think was, going to make you happy. I had the clothes and the car and the house and the wife and all of that stuff, all the stuff that society says, this is where, the happiness is. Ultimately, I felt a little bit empty and a little bit sad a lot of the time. And I drank a lot, and it wasn't like I was drinking every day, but I certainly had a tricky relationship with alcohol, and so did my parents, and probably so did their parents, and everybody that I hung around with was a drinker, and my parents were drinkers and my family were drinkers, and that's kind of what brought everyone together. When I started having talking therapy, it allowed me to ultimately get into a yoga studio, because I was, number one, I didn't really have any perception of what yoga was. It didn't interest me. There was nothing in what I saw of yoga that attracted me in any sense. Even the physical postures, they just didn't look achievable, or they didn't look very interesting to me. And also, I was quite physical. I ran and I cycled. So I thought that's really what is a good thing for me. But as I got older and as I got into my talking therapy and my counseling, I got beyond that kind of fear, and I started to do new things that scared me a little bit, things that challenged me. I started to tap into my vulnerability, and I was less worried about what I looked like and whether I could do it properly, doing something properly or doing something well. I think that's important to a lot of men, vulnerability and not looking stupid, as it were. I think that's something that really keeps men away from yoga. So with the grace of the people around me, and with, working with a therapist, I managed to get into a yoga studio. And from that moment, things began to change for me. Now, I'm not saying that yoga saved my life, but yoga was a really big part of my recovery. I stopped drinking alcohol after a year. Maybe that was yoga, maybe it was therapy, maybe it was understanding that I didn't need those coping mechanisms anymore because I'd found something a lot more healthy that I could immerse myself in a very gentle way, you know, not like I was trying to get into a yoga class every single day. It wasn't like that. And what happened was I managed to connect very deeply with myself for the first time ever. So this big head and this physical body, the grossness of my body, you know, the muscles and the fibers, they weren't very well connected. Even though I was used to running, getting tired, running very long distances, you know, running the Lake District and do ultra marathons and all that sort of stuff. But I wasn't very well connected. And what I found with yoga, it gave me an inner peace. What I love about yoga is it gives me something that I need, however I'm feeling, you know, and that's very important. So whatever I need on any given day, which is probably going to be different, yoga serves me beautifully. If I need something nourishing and calming, I can have a nourishing and calming class. If I need something more activating and I want to move my body a bit more, then I can find a class like that. I am never going to be very flexible, you know. I'm probably not going to be massively strong either, you know. Look at those arms. But what I've seen is incredible changes within my body and the way that I move my body. And I've found that there's an incredible change here going on here as well. And the disservice that yoga does to men is very damaging. So I'll give you an example. I went to Bristol not long ago and I went to do a yoga studio there. Now, I was the only man in the class. That doesn't bother me, but it probably would bother me a few years ago, and it would probably bother a lot of men. That's very understandable. And I looked on their Instagram page and there wasn't one image of a man practicing yoga. Now that's crazy to me. You know, why wasn't there a man? Why was there no image of a man practicing yoga? Because surely men do practice yoga. But if I was a man looking at that Instagram page or this yoga website, there's no way that I'd go into it, because I'd go, that's for women. It's not for me. It's not for men. And unfortunately, what happens is the wellness industry, which yoga is part of, what that is, it's a sales machine, yeah? So white, flexible, fair-skinned, beautiful women sell. They sell advertising, they sell magazines, they sell social media content. And that's what you see. So that's not what yoga's all about. Yoga's got nothing to do with that, to tell you the truth. In this space here, which is the Space to Breathe Collective in Leicester, which I help run, there's huge amounts of different men coming into this space. You know, we've got bricklayers, we've got head teachers, yeah, we've got builders, we've got carpenters. You know, we've got people from all walks of life, big guys, small guys, old guys. You know, and they intertwine. Is that a good word? They kind of meld in with all of the other people that come here as well. Young people, old people. I guess, you know, I taught a class the other day. I had a 15-year-old and I had a 70-year-old. You know, it's beautiful. And what yoga does, even though it's quite a solitary practice when you get onto your mat, there's a community around yoga as well. So if you're a man and you're thinking about, oh, well, maybe I will give yoga a go, find a local class, find a local teacher, find a teacher that resonates with you, find a teacher that's right for you. And then what you'll find is that your world will begin to open up in so many different ways. Don't think that it's all about what it looks like. You know, it's not, it doesn't matter. You know, get rid of those expectations of how your body should move. If you're my age, I'm 49 years old. My body isn't going to move like it moved when I was 20, you know, but I have so much more wisdom in my life now because of lots of other different things. I feel so much more equipped to practice yoga. So if it's just about the physicality, that's great, because you'll get strong, you know, you'll get great balance. You'll learn how to engage your body in this really beautiful way. If it's about calming the mind, then there's yoga there for you. You know, if it's about meditation, you can sit. We can learn some techniques about meditating. If it's about breath work and you want to get into the breath to calm the central nervous system or to energize yourself because you're feeling low, then there's something there for you. So you can tap into all of these different practices. None of them are particularly difficult. You know, yeah, we could walk around in headstands and handstands and do crazy inversions. I'm not interested in that sort of stuff. It's nice. It's a nice thing to do, but it's not what it's about. So there's two Sanskrit words. There's abhyasa, vairagya. Abhyasa just means regular, steady practice. Vairagya means release the outcome. So releasing the outcome is really beautiful because it gives you that opportunity to know we're not trying to be experts at anything. We try and get rid of that male trait of like, I want to be really good at it. It's not what it's about as well. So that's where I am with it. Finally, before we do some little practices here today, I just wanted to tell you a little bit about some illness that I've been going through. So last week I didn't teach. I was unable to teach. And I've had an injury, and it's a long-standing injury that reoccurs. And I don't mind saying what it is here. It's something to do with a private part of my body. It's very painful, you know. And for 2 days last week, I was in bed. I couldn't move. I was in so much pain. So it taught me a few things. Number one, that pain is inevitable. These are these are part of the Buddha's 4 noble truths. Pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. You know, so there's that story, isn't there, with the Buddha where the guy gets shot with an arrow, and he says to his followers, "Wow, what do you think that felt like?" "Oh, he must have felt so much pain." And then he says, and then he got shot with another arrow. Pew! What did that feel like? So much more pain. And the Buddha says, no, that's wrong. He says the first arrow was the pain. The second arrow was the choice of suffering. So how we lean into that is really important. So pain and suffering are 2 different things. It doesn't mean that I'm not feeling pain. I'm feeling a little bit of pain sat here now, but how I suffer is my choice. Okay. And we all go through periods of pain in our lives, don't we? So what I got to reflect on there was, how did I suffer or suffer less? And the way that I suffered less was by sharing, was to talk about what I was going through and to share that, especially with other men that I knew in my lives. And you know what? The beautiful thing that happened was it released a lot of that pain for me. It lightened my load somewhat. And then what men were able to do was reflect back on some personal issues they've had as well, things that are wrapped up in shame and secrecy, you know? So that's really beautiful as well. So sharing, having a community around you, being vulnerable, being able to communicate, it's step by step, isn't it? I don't expect all men to go out and just go, oh yeah, you know, this is happening for me. But sharing and not catastrophizing about things. You know, there's that idea that men don't want to go to the doctors. Oh, you know, it's a bit embarrassing, or it's this or it's that. You know, we need to try and open up a little bit. And with the help of things like Mental Health Week or Men's Health Week, it's massive because it gets men thinking about it, because men and women's problems are quite similar. You know, we probably deal with them in different ways. And that statistic, which was on the Virtual Village Hall this week, which was men in the UK, the biggest cause of death between men between 40 and 49, that's my age category, is death by suicide. It's tragic. It's truly tragic. We just need to talk to one another. We need to find supportive networks, practices like yoga or running or cycling or whatever it may be. It can be anything, you know, something that connects you deeply with yourself and other people. All right. So that was 13 minutes of me chatting. Drink plenty of water, everyone, especially on a hot day like today. Hopefully that was of some use. And if you're a man out there, lean into a yoga class, you know, go with your wife. Could be an amazing thing to do. That's what I did. First class I went with my wife. And then, you know, a few years later, my life has changed absolutely incredibly. All right. So if you are in a comfortable position, then congratulations. I'm going to move back onto my mat and we will start to move the body. So let me just have a look at this. That looks pretty good. So feel free. You see, I've got a little block here. This is nice. You can just perch on this, especially if you're not used to sitting on the floor. You know, I just bring my sit bones onto this block. And then here I am sitting in a pose which we call easy pose. It's not the easiest thing when you're not used to sitting on the floor. Draw some length into your spine when you get here. So try not to sit where, you know, everything's collapsing down. Draw some length into your spine and then relax your shoulder blades and then just find somewhere to put your hands. This is a classic yoga posture, isn't it? You know, sat in easy pose, Sukhasana as it's called in Sanskrit. And then from here, just draw your attention inwards. So what you might do is you might just very gently close your eyes, or if that doesn't feel safe, then just draw your gaze down towards your feet. So you're just softening your gaze down towards your feet. And then to start the class, we just stop. So we're just checking in with ourselves. We're just tuning in, paying attention. So if we think about yoga, what is it? We think about yoga as paying attention to the physical body, paying attention to the breath, and ultimately coming into the present moment. Maybe scan your body. This could have been the first time you've done this today. It could be the first time you've done it in a very long time. So go from the crown of the head all the way down to the tips of your toes. And then from your tips of your toes all the way up to the crown of your head. So you're just working yourself up. You're working your way down. And anything that's kind of bothering you. Or it could be, oh, that feels good. You know, that nice release through my hips and my spine feels long and my shoulders feel relaxed. As you come into the head area, check in with the jaw, check in with the face. Notice if you're holding any tension there. Nice. And then begin to pay a little bit of attention to your breath. And try not to change it. At this moment, see how you're breathing. If you can, try and breathe in and out through the nose. And as you inhale, you feel your belly expand. And as you exhale, you feel the belly fall back to the spine. That's all your rhythm's doing. It's like a relaxed breath. Inhaling through the nose. Exhaling through the nose. So we'll do 10 rounds of breath like that. I'm not going to count them. Do them in your own time. And when you finish that 10th round of breath, there's no rush to get there. If you had your eyes closed, then gently just bring your eyes open. Raise your gaze up if your gaze is down by your feet. Beautiful, nice. And then you can uncross your legs. If you're sat on something like I was, there might have been a block or a book. Lean back into your hands. Have your fingertips pointing forward. And then just drop your knees down from side to side. Nice. Just scissor the legs, just dropping the knees down slowly. If it feels too much with the feet wide, then just bring the feet in a little bit narrower. And then the next time the knees are dropped over to the right-hand side, just pause here. Take a few breaths. Breathe into the left side of the hip. Back to the breathing, and then back to center. And then bring the knees over to the left. And then you should feel a stretch somewhat in this outer hip. Spread out through your fingers. Make sure you feel supported. Maybe bring a little smile onto your face. Be curious. And then come all the way back to center. Beautiful. Nice. Recross your legs. Come back to easy pose. And then what I'm going to do now, we're going to work through a little sequence that will be probably for about 10 minutes. And this sequence you can do at any time of the day, but it's a beautiful one to do in the mornings. So if you say to yourself, I haven't got time to do a yoga practice, Dave, you do 10 minutes. Everyone's got 10 minutes in the morning. Just set your alarm 10 minutes earlier, or go to bed 10 minutes earlier than you normally would, and wake up, have a quick shower, brush your teeth, and then do 10 minutes like this. It can really help you. So we're going to move through the spine. A lot of us hold tension in the spine and pain in the spine, and these are really simple movements that are accessible to everybody. So you bring the hand onto the front shin. You're going to inhale the chest forward. You're going to exhale around the spine. Inhale forward, exhale round. So if you think about this movement, it's just the pelvis is rocking backwards, the pelvis is rocking forwards. Keep your head nice and still, and then get into a rhythm that feels good for you. So you'll find that the hips are doing this. They just rock backwards, they rock forwards, and you'll find that there's a rounding into the spine, and then as you inhale forward, you feel the heart center lift. So I'll show you from the side because it gives you a really Nice. So sitting tall, inhale, exhale. You see my head doesn't really move. I'm not doing this. Don't want to do that. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. This is a lower spine flex. You can do this with the eyes closed. If the eyes are closed, just focus right in between the eyebrows. So this is pretty accessible. Most people can do this movement. Plain old yoga. Keep the movement going, but then bring the hands onto the knees. So now you get into a full spinal flex. Nice, powerful breath. Let's see if you can hear my breath. So there's intention in the breath, using the breath to energize you. And what you're doing here is you're moving the energy from your pelvic bowl all the way up to the crown of the head. Nice. Take an inhale. Come forward. Pause the breath. And exhale, let it go. Do that one more time. Nice deep inhale through the nose. Pause the breath. And exhale through the nose. Beautiful, nice. Bring the hands out just so they're down by the hips. Really press into your fingertips. So you kind of, the arms begin to activate. Feel your shoulders relax. You feel that engagement in the shoulders, but then you're relaxing the shoulder blades down the back. And then we'll move side to side so we can get tight laterally. So we just move the energy up the spine, flatten your left palm down, and then just inhale your right arm over to your left. Exhale your left arm over to the right. Nice. So that's your rhythm, nice and simple. Inhale left, exhale right. Inhale left, exhale right. Nice, powerful breath. Lateral movements, getting into the side body. You're still working into the spine, but you get into the side of the ribs. You're using that expansive breath to breathe really, really deeply here. Always inhaling left, always exhaling right. You can see how we begin to do these simple movements, but we use the breath to kind of, number one, sustain us, number two, to energize us, and to bring life and vitality into the body. Simple stuff though, isn't it? A couple of times either side. Then bring both hands down. Fingertips onto the floor. Nice deep inhale. Full release and exhale. Beautiful. Nice. From here, bring the hands onto the shoulders. We're going to do a spinal twist. So you've got little fingers at the front, thumbs at the back. You're going to inhale left. You're going to exhale right. So you might start really small. You might be here. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. Get into the movement and then maybe make it a little bit more physical. I like to close my eyes on this one because I can feel a little bit dizzy. Don't worry what these poses look like. The first time I did them, I was like, what is going on here? I have no idea. But we try not to overthink them. We're just being curious. We're just getting into the poses. This twists the spine open at every level. We're nice and safe with how fast we're going. We're not pushing it. So physically very good for us, energetically amazing for us. Moving all that stagnant energy. A couple of times either side. Inhale back to center. And then a full exhale. Bring your hands down. Really nice, everyone. Bring your legs out in front and then just lengthen your legs and then just give them a little shake out. Tap into the legs. Just massage the legs out. It's a hot day. Beautiful. Nice. And then come all the way back to center. So we'll move into another breath practice. In fact, I'm going to come a little bit closer to the camera. So this is a pranayama practice. So pranayama breath practice, breath control. And this is called Sitali Breath. Sitali Breath, S-I-T-A-L-I. It's an amazing one to do when it's hot because it really cools you down. Not that you probably need this in the UK very often, but on a day like today and a day like tomorrow, you're probably going to need it. So this is where we breathe through the tongue. You're going to roll the tongue. Breathe through it like a straw. And then you're just going to exhale through the mouth. In through the tongue, exhale through the mouth. Now, if you can't do a tongue roll, because some people genetically can't, you're just going to pucker your lips. And you're going to suck the air in through puckered lips. So either roll your tongue or suck the air in just through puckered lips. And this really begins to cool you down. So we'll do a few rounds and then we'll see how it makes us feel. It also calms the central nervous system. So when you feel agitated or anxious, stressed, angry, there's a breath practice for all of these, and this is a beautiful one. So I like to bring my hands just onto my knees. You can have the palms up if you want. I'm going to have my palms down, just resting lightly. Think about your spine again. Have a little wriggle around, actually. You know, maybe move the shoulders, but your spine is nice and long. And then maybe your eyes are closed. Roll the tongue or through puckered lips. Inhale. And then exhale through the mouth really slowly. So you're just sighing out all your problems. Inhale through the tongue or through puckered lips. Exhale through the mouth. Keep that breath rhythm going. Two more times. Final round. Beautiful, really nice. And then make any adjustments that you need to. Maybe come off your block. I'm going to go back onto my mat here. Move the legs in any way that feels good. And you might think about those, you know, some of the things I think with men as well, they're like, oh, I'm not doing that, mate. It's a bit weird. Looks a bit weird, doesn't it? Hey, breathing through your tongue. But this stuff has been done for thousands of years. You know, these breath practices, you know, there's wisdom in the breath. It's been there for thousands of years and it really works. You know, it's a breath for everything. So try and get away from the mind pattern of what things look like, you know. It's amazing once you get past that barrier of going, I don't care what it looks like. I don't care. It's all about what it feels like. Nice. All right, come on to all fours. So we're just going to move a little bit more here. So this is our tabletop position. Have a quick look at your fingers, spread out through your fingers. Look at your knees, make sure your knees are stacked right underneath your hips, and then gently press the tops of the feet into the floor. So we're going to move the spine through cat and cow. Inhale, drop your belly down, lift your head and your heart. Exhale, round your spine. Inhale forward. Exhale, round. So that's your movement. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. 3 more. And then a nice deep inhale, come all the way back to center. As you exhale, see if you can split them a little bit wider. So right at the end of the mat, see your big toes, see if you can bring them together. You just bring the bones back onto your heels or somewhat near it. If you're tight in the hip and spine, you'll probably be more like this. That's cool because you can just place your head on your hands or place your head on your fists like this. If you can get the sit bones all the way back like this, that's great. And you can just rest your forehead onto the floor. And then just breathe deeply here. This is child's pose. It's a beautiful stretch for the spine. You can really elongate the arms, maybe claw into the fingertips, and then just have a little rock around from side to side. Bring that curiosity into your pose. Don't worry if you feel restricted. Know that your body will open up. Nice. And then walk your hands back just very slightly. Push yourself up to all fours. And then what we'll do is we'll come into downward facing dog. And then we'll move through a few rounds of sun salutation. So you can bring this into your practice as well. So try not to do this first one with me. I'll show you it. So spread out through your fingers, tuck your toes under, lift your hips, come into downward facing dog. So you can see, I just readjust my feet. So I'm not like this. You see this a lot, you know, where it's too long. So I'm stepping my feet in. They're about hip width apart. Now from here, I bend my knees. See how long my spine gets. Look, my head's nearly touching the floor. That's perfect, really, for me anyway. So I bend my knees so I can elongate my spine. Because I'm tightening the hamstrings, all that running over the years. If I did that with straight legs, I can't get my heels down. It's not a problem. But look, my back is bowed. You see that little bit in my lumbar spine? So just here, there's a bow in my back. So if I bend my knees, look what happens to my spine. It just elongates. You know, I tuck my navel back towards my spine. Straight legs, it's difficult. You know, upper spine, lower spine is a big kind of like banana shape. If I bend my knees, oh, that's where the juicy stuff is. That's where I want to be. All right. So we'll do that together. Make sure the head is nice and loose. And you don't want to be kind of like, as I say, try not to be here, you know, where it's more of a, like a high plank. You know, you really want to press into the hands and then lengthen the arms away. And then nice generous bend in the knees, let the head be nice and loose. Breathe deeply here. Nice deep inhale. Full exhale. One more like that, maybe deeper, bend in the knees, deep inhale. And a full exhale. Then walk your hands back towards your feet. So now you find yourself at the back of your mat. Go super wide with your feet. Walk them wider. Hang in a standing forward fold. Grab hold of your elbows. And then just dangle down. Look at my knees. They're still bent. I'm not trying to work with straight legs. I'm certainly not trying to do that. And then I'm just rocking from side to side. Little bits of movement can feel really nice. Swaying from side to side. And then I experiment. When I bring my weight into my toes, what does that do to my hamstrings? My weight into my sides of my feet, into my heels. And then bring your hands down. Bend deeper into the knees, like super, super bent. And then roll up with your arms just dangling, and then come all the way up to stand. Whew. Really nice work, everyone. All right, from here, we'll just come to standing Tadasana, which is mountain pose. So we come all the way to the tops of our mats. And then look at your feet, line them up with the long edges of your mat. So I like to have my feet nice and wide, because if your feet are wide, and I'll show you here, you know, we don't want to be here. Oh, hold on. We don't want to be here. We want to be here with the feet lined up. And then if you go wide with your feet like I am, you know, nice firm stance, when you come into that forward fold, it gives you a lot more room to fold into. If your feet are narrow, it makes it a little bit more difficult. So you want to try and give as much room in your pelvic bowl as you can. So this is going to be Sun Salutation A. This is a beautiful one to place together. If you've got 20 minutes in the morning, do some breath, which we've done already. Work through the spinal series and then throw a few of these bad boys in. Fantastic. This is such a great all-round body workout, and you also build strength, flexibility, vitality, engagement. You get to work with your breath. It's such a great thing to do. Sun salutations in the morning, better than a cup of coffee. Yeah, you can have a cup of coffee after. That's what I do. All right, bring your hands to heart center. Stand nice and tall. Think about your feet. Press all four corners of your feet into the mat. Really feel that engagement. Feel length in your spine, and then the back of the neck is nice and long. So you're not like this, you're not like this, you're not like this. You've got your head stacked above your heart stacked over your hips. Hip points are forward. You hear a lot of that sort of stuff in Pilates. All right, so every movement here is going to have a breath attached. So listen to my cue in, and then we'll do this together. So inhale, sweep the arms up. Exhale, forward fold. So swallow dive down, nice and wide, and then come down with a bend in your knees. When you arrive, Take an inhale, lengthen your spine. See how high I come? I come right up onto the sides of my knees. I want to bring as much length into my spine as I can. My next exhale, my hands are coming down. I'm stepping one foot back, then the other. And then I take an inhale, and I just lengthen into my plank. Nice. Press into the outer edges of your feet. This is building a lot of strength in the arms and the upper body, in the legs. Firm up through the thighs. You don't want to be here. You don't want to be here. You want to be right there. Nice. One more deep inhale. And then as you exhale, on this first one, drop your knees. And then see if you can keep your elbows tucked in by your body. Lower all the way down onto the floor. Nice. Press the tops of your feet into the floor. Feel that engagement. Keep the hands connected. Take an inhale. Elbows are tucked into the side ribs. Come into cobra. As you exhale, bring the head down. Tuck your toes under. Come back to all fours. Then lift your hips. And back into that downward facing dog. Breathe deeply here. Deep inhale. Full exhale. One more like that. Your deepest inhale. And your fullest exhale. Bend your knees into your hips, look between your hands. See if you can step first your right and then your left foot right up to the top of your mat. Nice. Take an inhale to find some length, come up halfway. Exhale, fold deep, press into your feet. Inhale, sweep your arms up high and wide. And then exhale, hands to heart center. Nice. So that was one round. You might have thought, I have no idea what was going on there, but you pick these up very quickly. You know, you do them for a few weeks, and then suddenly you're like, I know what's going on here. So let's try and do one together, but we'll do one movement, one breath, okay? So every movement has a breath attached, and the breath drives all the movements. So that's the most important thing. Doesn't matter what it looks like. Hands to heart center. Let's see how we get on. All right, we ready to go? Inhale up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, hands down. Step it back into your plank. Inhale here to find some length. Exhale to lower. Either drop the knees or lower down like I am in one piece. Inhale, cobra. Exhale, lift the hips. Downward facing dog. 2 breaths. Deep inhale. Full exhale. Your deepest inhale. And your fullest exhale. Nice. Bend your knees, hinge your hips up between your hands, and then gently first step your right, then your left to the top of your mat. Inhale to find some length, come up halfway. Exhale, fold deep, press into your feet. Inhale, sweep the arms high and wide, all the way up. Exhale, hands to heart center. I think we've got another one in us, so let's just keep moving. Inhale up. Exhale, fold. Beautiful, breathe in. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, hands down. Step one foot back, then the other. Inhale here to find length. Exhale to lower. Inhale, cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog. Nice. 2 breaths again. Deep inhale. Full exhale. One more like that. Your deepest inhale. And your fullest exhale. Nice. Bend your knees, hinge your hips, look between your hands, and then gently, lightly come to the top of your mat. Inhale, find some length. Exhale, fold low. And then final time, press into your feet. Inhale, sweep the arms high and wide. Exhale, hands to heart center. Then just pause here, hands at heart center. Breathe in super deep. Let the breath just calm right down. And then eventually just come to sit in a nice, comfortable position. Nice, everyone. Beautiful. Grab a drink. It's a hot day, as I say. Make sure you're well hydrated. Nice. All right. Okay. So that's all some of the physical stuff that we can do. There's thousands of different things we can do there. And as you dip into your yoga, you will find what resonates for you. You know, you'll find what you need at certain times. But you can just see through those sun salutations, you're using the breath. So there's a lot of energy moving through the body. There's physicality going on, you know. So I remember when I first started to do yoga, my upper body was so weak, and I feel quite strong now, even though, you know, I'm not buff or anything like that. I feel strong, you know, I can really move my body in a very different way to how I could 6-7 years ago. And then you bring in that flexibility and, you know, you're stretching the hamstrings, You know, you're getting into the heels, the Achilles, there's all sorts of lovely stuff going on. The shoulders begin to open up. So sun salutations, I would highly recommend. Go on YouTube. There's thousands of videos on YouTube for sun salutations, and you'll find something that suits you. Yoga with Adrienne on YouTube. I recommend her channel. Very, very good. Accessible to everybody. Yeah. All right. So we'll do one more breath practice. And this is a really lovely one because it works with the regulation of the breath. So what do I mean there? Well, what it does, it sets your breath up in this really lovely pattern. So you know when we feel anxious and overwhelmed, which a lot of us will, you know, probably every day or certain times in our lives, you know, if we feel anger, there's nothing wrong with anger, by the way. You just need to get rid of it in a healthy way. You need to express it in a healthy way. So with breath exercises, it can really help with that anxiety. We feel it, don't we, physically? We feel it here. It's like a restriction. So what this breath is going to do, it's going to set your breath up in this lovely rhythm. Nice one to do before you go to bed. Nice one to do if you have an argument with somebody. Nice one to do if you feel anxious or overwhelmed. Nice one to do in the morning. It's just a nice one, everyone. So what we do is we use a hand position, which is called a mudra. We bring all of the fingers and the thumbs together and make this little tent. And then you're going to have it just away from the heart center. You're going to relax your shoulders. You're going to make sure that your spine is nice and long. And you're going to inhale for 5. You're going to pause the breath for 5, and then you're going to exhale for 5. It's really simple. And what the trickiest thing is, I'm going to see if you can close your eyes 9/10 of the way. So you're just looking for a slit in your eyes, and you're looking down to your middle fingers. And I'll count us through this, or talk us through it. So find your position, close the eyes 9/10. Take an inhale through the nose for 2, 3, 4, 5. Pause the breath for 2, 3, 4, 5, and then exhale through the nose, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale through the nose. Pause the breath. Exhale through your nose. Inhale. Hold the breath. Exhale. Inhale. Hold it. Exhale. Inhale. Pause the top. Exhale. Eyes are 9/10 closed. Make sure the spine is super long and the shoulders are relaxed. Inhale. Pause the breath. Exhale. Inhale. Hold the breath. Exhale. 3 more rounds. Deep inhale. Hold the breath. Exhale. And then 2 more in your own time. Beautiful. And then the end of that final exhale, you can bring the hands down. Take a couple of breaths. Just breathe in and out through the nose. And then if your eyes are closed, just gently come with your eyes open. Beautiful, everyone. Really nice work. From here, just rub your hands together. Rub your hands together. Beautiful. Really nice. And then from here, bring the hands to heart center. Maybe just lower your gaze down towards your prayer. And then just really simply wish yourself well first and foremost, and wish everybody else well. Namaste. Thank you, everybody. Thanks so much for joining today. Before you leave, I just wanted to have a quick look at the comments. Thank you for people who have commented. I'd just like to read this one out. Afternoon, Dave. Looking forward to the class. I'm 70-year-old. I have arthritis in the knees and the ankles and feet. Yoga definitely helps me physically and mentally, which I do daily. I identify with a lot of what you're talking about today. Thank you. It's really nice. Thank you, Margaret. Carol says a superb on his chat. I've not been on for a couple of weeks. It's changed to yoga for men. Is it still okay for women to do yoga? Absolutely. Absolutely it is. And hopefully that you still did that. You know, there's lots of different stories out there, isn't there? And yoga probably brings people in for lots of different reasons, but we all share a common thread, don't we? You know, we all suffer joy. Oh, sorry, we all experience joy. We all suffer sadness and loss. You know, but there's always a practice that we can come back to. So I would say yoga and community and talking and being as open and vulnerable as we can is a real game changer. Honestly, I think it is the biggest thing that men can do, is that we begin to talk with each other. And I think that's happening more and more. The fact that we have, you know, Men's Health Week, the fact that the Royal Voluntary Service, Virtual Village Hall, has provided all of this amazing content, which is relevant for men and women, but there's a nice focus there. Feel free, you know, check out our Facebook page, our Instagram. All of the videos are on here. Dip in and out. I also teach weekly classes online as well. If you're in Leicester, then come and see us, because this is a cooperative here in Leicester. It's an amazing not-for-profit yoga organisation. Look how beautiful this space is. Anywhere around the Midlands, come and see us. I'm going to wish you all well. I hope the rest of Men's Health Week goes fantastically well for everybody. Check out all of the content on there, because there is such great stuff there, and it's a real kind of service to the whole of the Royal Voluntary Service Virtual Village Hall community. So thank you to those guys for putting it on, and I'll see you all next week. All right, namaste. Look after yourselves. Bye now.